Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank both the chairman and the ranking member for your holding this meeting. We wrote and asked for this, and I so appreciate your accommodation of this, and I appreciate our witnesses here today to provide insight on a very challenging area. I'd like to start with you, Assistant Secretary Ratner, if I might. I want to focus on the importance of Taiwan to the broader security in the Indo-Pacific region. Earlier this year, Japanese Defense Minister Kishi stated that the peace and stability of Taiwan are directly connected to Japan. In building on that statement just last month, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said, and I quote, "A Taiwan emergency is a Japanese emergency, and therefore an emergency for the U.S.-Japan alliance." As former U.S. Ambassador to Japan, I understand the strategic importance of Taiwan to the U.S.-Japan alliance, but I also believe an emergency in the U.S.-Japan alliance will also represent an emergency for our alliances both in Korea and in Australia. Protecting Taiwan is key to protecting the entire U.S. alliance network within the Indo-Pacific. So first, I'd just like to start with yes or no questions, Secretary Ratner. Is the security of Taiwan important to the security and stability of the Indo-Pacific region?
Senator, I would say it's essential.
And I agree. And then I just would like to then ask you how Taiwan impacts our defense posture in the Indo-Pacific and our ability to work with, to protect and defend Japan, Korea, and Australia.
Senator, I would describe our partnership with Taiwan as an anchor to our network of allies and partners in the region.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'll come to my good friend, Ambassador Crittenbrink. China is engaged in a deeply destabilizing nuclear arms race right now. It's currently building underground silos for intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's improving its nuclear triad of land-based, of sea-based, of air-based weapons, and it's testing nuclear-capable hypersonic weapons. General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, described China's recent hypersonic missile test as a Sputnik moment. General John Hyten, who until recently served as vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, described these nuclear-capable hypersonics as likely a first-use weapon or a first-strike weapon. Our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific are increasingly alarmed about China's laser focus and emphasis on their strategic capabilities. The United States needs to maintain a credible, extended deterrence commitment to our allies in the Indo-Pacific. So, Ambassador Crittenbrink, do you agree with the premise that the United States should do all it can to maintain credible deterrence?
Senator Hagerty, thank you very much for the question. Absolutely. I believe that it is I'm sorry, is it on? I believe it is a vital American national interest to demonstrate the credibility and the sanctity of our security treaty commitments to our allies in the region, using all of our capabilities.
Thank you. In November, Japan's chief cabinet secretary publicly stated that adopting a no first use policy in terms of using nuclear weapons would, and I quote, make it difficult to ensure Japan's national security. So I'd come to both of you now and ask if you agree that the United States should seriously take into consideration the views of Japan, as well as our other allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific with respect to U.S. declaratory policy.
Senator, what I would say, I would simply reiterate my comment from a moment ago that it's a vital American national interest to demonstrate the credibility of our security treaty commitments involving all of our capabilities, including our extended deterrence capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Secretary Ratner.
Yep. Senator, as you know, the Department is currently conducting its nuclear posture review. In the context of that process, we have been engaging deeply and repeatedly with allies around the world, including our allies in the Indo-Pacific, and we have heard their concerns, and certainly Secretary Austin has spoken repeatedly about the importance of our extended deterrence commitments.
Secretary Ratner, thank you for the comment, and I would just encourage you, as I hear from our allies in the region as well, they have very strong views on this. Their proximity makes those views very relevant, and thank you for taking those views into account. Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Booker, who's with us virtually.